My name is Yasmine Okujeto. I am a sickle strong warrior. This is my diary.
Sickle cell anemia is nothing to be ashamed of. It is a condition that warrants no stigma. But sickle patients get plenty of this. One warrior who has been fighting the cause of stigmatization against sickle cell patients is Yasmine'S Okujeto, a doughty warrior. For her, sickle cell does not bind her. It doesn't break her. It has only given her a cause to fight for.
Looking at me, would you think that I have sickle cell? Mostly, people think sickle cell patients are supposed to be slim, have a certain kind of forehead, a huge stomach. A lot of people look at me and they tell me, you don't look like a sickle cell patient. Why are you fat? Why are you big? I actually wish I was the slimmer kind of sickle cell patient. Some sickle cell patients look sickly and some don't. And I'm the kind that I don't look like I've got sickle cell. There are times when I'm in the airport and I ask for wheelchair access, or I tell people that I need help and they ask, what's wrong with you? Or I'm trying to park my car as close to the entrance as possible and they ask, what's wrong with you? That's because I don't look like I'm sick. I don't look like I have a disability. I'm not in a wheelchair. My disability is not something that you can see. There's a lot of stigmatization associated to sickle cell, and I can't begin to tell you how many I have seen. I used to work for a foundation called Sickle Aid Ghana, and unfortunately the founder passed away. In working with IDA, there was a time we went to a village, Elmina in Ghana. There was a little girl called Blessing. I would never forget Blessing for as long as I live. This child was literally tied up in the market and was being Bible bashed. When I say Bible bashed, she was literally being Bible bashed. And in speaking to the people around, the story we heard was that she was a witch and she had been sent to destroy her parents, and she had killed most of her siblings. And this is a story we hear over and over again. When we met Blessing, Blessing was sickly, and we explained to them that literally we saved Blessing, and we told them Blessing was not sent here to destroy anybody. Blessing is a sickle cell patient. And we explained to the family what they needed to do to help Blessing, which was make sure that she's hydrated, make sure she eats the right food, make sure that she doesn't get bitten by mosquitoes so she doesn't get malaria. So we provided them with all the tools they needed to help Blessing. And before the founder of the foundation died, Blessing was flourishing. And I remember watching Blessing at the funeral when Ida died. And I just looked at the girl from where we saved her from and what she looked like. The transformation was amazing. So stigmatization is very, very dangerous. I'll give you an example. I met a guy who was supposed to get married, and he made a comment, you should be privileged and happy that me, an AA man, wants to marry a sickle cell patient like you. It was funny to me personally, and my response, I remember, was, if you combine the women in your household, the ones born, the ones not yet born, and the ones that have passed, they are not 100th the woman I am, even with my sickle cell. What he said, it didn't break me, because I know who I am. I know the woman I am. But it actually broke us, because I thought, if I'm going to marry you and you're going to see me as a liability already, you're telling me that I should be privileged. Excuse you? I'm an asset to any man, sickle cell or no sickle cell. And that's how I see myself. What he said has broken a lot of people. Because I have a sickle cell girl in Nigeria that I mentor. And some of the things her husband says to her actually makes her upset, makes her frustrated. Because he says things like, sickle cell girl like you. Like, he says so many things that really, it's is derogatory, and that's stigmatization. Not every sickle patient is as strong as I am. There was a young lady that called me that said, I'm about to get married, but my husband's family don't like me because I'm a sickle cell patient. In the end, they couldn't get married because whether we like it or not, marriage is not just between two people, it's about two families. And this family literally destroyed these two, their relationship. The man was AA, the girl was SS. But in telling her that she was not good enough, the family made her feel she wasn't good enough because she was sickle. She wasn't good enough because she had a condition that was through no fault of hers. They destroyed her. I mean, she's still single, and there are times I know, when we talk, I can hear her pain. And it's not just in Ghana or in Africa or in Nigeria. There's a boy I mentor as well, and he had an argument with his father, and his father said to him, I want to see what a sickle cell boy like you can achieve with your life. Thank God that this boy he's a young boy, he's African American, he had converted to Islam, and I was mentoring him based on religion. And he's a sickle cell patient as well. And to hear a father say that to a child, your father is the head of the family, and for him to say to you, a sickle cell boy like you. So the stigmatization is not just in Africa, it's all over. And one of the biggest stigmatization we get is we are called drug seekers. A lot of people don't understand our pain. So not even medical doctors don't understand our pain. Yes, there are some sickle cell patients that are addicted to the painkillers through no fault of theirs, because you're constantly on the painkillers. And you go to hospital, you're in pain, and then the doctor will ask you, are you sure you're in pain? I can understand that they're trying to find out which patients are addicted, but sometimes in trying to find out who is addicted and who is not, we're discriminated against. So your pain, instead of taking 2 days, will take 7 days because somebody has decided, a doctor or a nurse has decided that you're an addict. That is also stigmatization. And that affects you emotionally, because if you're not an addict and you are in pain, it's frustrating because the pain, as I said, is excruciating. Excruciating. You know, I spoke to a sickle cell patient who delivered, and I asked her, how was labor compared to sickle cell pain? She said, Yasmine, labor was a breeze. I was waiting for that labor pain to hit. Everybody keeps screaming, when you're pushing out a child is hard. She said, it was not as painful as a sickle cell crisis. That is how bad the pain is. So the stigmatization can come not just from the layman on the street. It comes from the so-called professionals as well. At the end of the day, they're just trying to figure out if you're an addict or not. But at the same time, those that are not addicts get stigmatized against. Then you have the parents that are tired. I mean, some parents just give up. It's not easy. As a mother, I actually understood my mother for the first time in my life when I became a mom myself. I understood her struggle. I don't think I ever saw sickle cell from my mother's point of view till I had my daughter, and she was sick and she was admitted in hospital. And I was so frustrated and so scared that I worked myself into a sickle cell crisis. So my daughter was on admission, they were treating her and they had to admit me, so we were both on admission. But one thing that taught me is that as a mother, I was in pain, but I was not thinking about my pain. I was being given my medication every 4 hours, but at that particular moment, it wasn't about me. It was about my child. All I wanted was for her to be okay. And the funny thing is, she was the one admitted, but she was discharged before I was discharged. And I got home and I thanked my mom. And I remember saying, oh my goodness, Mom, I never saw sickle cell from your point of view. And I'm sorry about that. And for the first time, I thought, wow, is this what you've been through for 30-something years? I know I don't know how she does it, because I know myself that if I had a child with any form of disability, I would either have run mad or I don't know. But the support network is so important. Having people to support you is so important. I mean, I always say that, alhamdulillah, everything I've been through, or the woman I am today, is because of Allah, but it's also because He chose the right person to mother me, because I would never stop saying it. I won the genetic lottery by coming through that woman. She sacrifices everything. She would do anything to make sure that I'm okay. She would give anything. But not every sickle cell patient has that. As I said, I know sickle cell patients that have committed suicide. I know sickle cell patients that are so taken and they're controlled by sickle cell because they don't have the kind of support I do. I have the support of my mom, I have the support of my dad, I have the support of my brothers and my sisters. I mean, especially my younger sister, as I said before, they took turns. My brother flew with me from Ghana to South Africa for my surgery, and he stayed with me the whole time. My sister took 6 weeks of work to be there. My cousin took 6 weeks of work to be in South Africa. So I have such a strong support network that even if I want to give up, I think of them. I think of everything they've had to sacrifice to make sure that I'm okay, and giving up is not an option. But not everyone has that. Not everyone. I have a friend that passed away, and I'll never forget. Or she said to me, Yasmine, you're so blessed to have your mom and your sister. She said to me, I don't have what you have. And when she died, I was angry. I was mad, because I was like, heat in the body is what I used to call her. And I was mad at her family, because all her life she was made to feel like sickle was her fault. She was made to feel like every time she was ill, it was her fault. And as much as I tried to be there for her, I had my own stuff I was going through. So her death actually really hit me, because I felt like I could have done more. I should have been there more. So the support network is essential. It's really essential. Because if you don't have that, then it's difficult for you to even fight. She had a son, and she fought so much for her son. And when I found out she died, the first thing I thought of was, what's going to happen to this boy? Because the person that she didn't want to have this boy is going to have the boy. And it was heartbreaking for me. So it's as I said, sickle can take you to insanity and back. And I just kept on thinking of all the dreams she had, everything she wanted, and all because she didn't have the support network that she needed. And I know mothers who have literally buried their children because of this condition. I have a friend on Facebook. We've never met. Tonya and I have never met. And she had only one child, one. And in trying to get a cure from sickle cell, her child died. She did a bone marrow transplant and she died. And when I read her story, I just felt so heartbroken for her. But she's a strong woman. I mean, I remember asking her, how do you deal with burying your only child? I saw the video, the pictures of how she kissed her for the last time. She prepared her for the mortuary. And then she started a foundation called Sugar Babies in the States. And I always speak to her, and I always tell her, you're one of the strongest women I know, because it's not like she can just go and have another child. Age is not on her side anymore for her to have another child. But how do you bury your only child to this condition? I have another friend on Facebook, Tracy Cassie, and I remember we had a conversation. She was my age, and she was going to be a grandma, and she said, oh, I'm going to be a glam, G-L-A-M, grandma. That's the young version of grandma, and she was super excited. And so I was counting down with her. I mean, a lot of the sickle friends I have online, I have actually never physically met, but we speak a lot because of the condition. And whenever we're in hospital, we support each other with prayers. I mean, with sickle cell knows no religion, color, or so. Tracy, I remember when she was in hospital, she said, say a prayer for me, I'm not feeling well, and I did. And when I'm in hospital, I say a prayer for me, and then she did. So it's not about whether you're a Christian, Muslim, we always pray for each other on the sickle platforms on Facebook. And I remember I was counting down with her, then suddenly I saw RIP Tracy Cassie. I mean, the shock, I was like, hold up. So I had to now go and read, and she actually died on the day her grandchild was born. The grandchild that she was looking forward to. She was so excited. And I remember she said to me when she had her daughter, she had a daughter quite young. I think she was about 16 or 15 when she had her child. And she said she remembers when she was pregnant and people were talking to her mom and talking down at her, and her mom said, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I want you to have this child. And reason being, one of the things that you're encouraged to do as a sickle cell patient is to have children early. So she didn't care what the world said. She had her baby at about 16, and she was expecting her first grandchild at 36, and then RIP. So I was in shock. I cried for days, and then I sent her daughter a message, and I had to ask what happened. So sickle cell sometimes it just suddenly creeps up on you, because Tracy was doing so well. She had been out of hospital for a while, she hadn't been in, and then suddenly, poof, she was gone. She had a brain hemorrhage, and this was in America, and that was it, she was gone. So for me, it's sometimes sickle affects me in ways that I can't even explain, because 1 minute the person is there, 1 minute the person is gone. So there's so many stories I could go on and on about my friends online, or how sickle has affected them. It's crazy. It's a crazy illness, and sometimes even the scientists are baffled. They are baffled about sickle cell. One of the things I always advise as a warrior myself to other warriors is, as I said, know your body, understand understand sickle cell, and then know every step of the way when something is going wrong with your body. One of the things I do is to run tests every 6 weeks. So every 6 weeks I will run blood culture, urine culture, liver functions, kidney functions, because the medication we take affects our organs, and a lot of sickle cell patients have actually died from organ failure. So I ensure that I'm always checking. As soon as just a couple of weeks ago, my legs started getting swollen, and I was worried because that's a sign of organ problems. I think it's kidney problems here. So the first thing I did was to go to the lab and do a kidney functions test. I literally have become a doctor because now I read my own tests to find out, okay, so what's going on. And I remember walking into the lab and the lady said, hey, Auntie Yasmine, you're back again. What test this time? Now the lab does not even expect a doctor to write a test for me, because I just walk in. Liver functions, kidney functions, full blood count, fetal hemoglobin. I'm checking everything. I need to know if my body is in sync with my brain, so it's essential for you to know. And if you know somebody with sickle cell, or you love somebody with sickle cell, the way you can support them is by trying to understand the condition as well. Now the internet is just at their fingertips, so it's essential that you know somebody, you have a child, you have a friend, you have a niece, nephew. Just try to understand the condition, read about it, so that as soon as you see your friend, I mean, I have my friend will look at me and say, Yasmine, you're not looking good. What's up? Your eyes look pale. And then I know that, okay, let me go and run a test. Maybe because I'm not seeing it, but she's close to me, so she's seeing it. And then you have somebody like, I have a friend who has 2 sickle cell kids, 2 sickle cell kids. And sometimes, as soon as she's feeling down, I can tell. So I'm like, okay, what's up, girl? How are they? Are they good? And the parents, the mothers especially, like I'll say to her, babes, what's up? Do you need to talk? Is everything okay? So I look out for her because I know how it feels like to have 2 kids. Okay, I wouldn't say I know, I can just imagine how it feels like having 2 sickle cell patients. One is either sick, one is okay, then one is okay. So it's always constantly a battle for the mother. So it's essential that you support. And I have a foundation called the Sickle Strong Warriors Foundation, and what we do is to provide support for people who cannot afford the medication, for people who just need to talk. If there's a mother or a patient that needs to talk, I have a patient in Ghana that tried to commit suicide, and then another thing is now he's in love with somebody who is AS. And as much as he understands the condition, as much as he understands it, he's putting his faith. He's saying that, well, we can either decide not to have kids, or, well, we may be lucky and the child may be AS. So at that particular moment, I could tell that it was not the sickle cell patient talking. It was somebody that was in love talking. So it was his love talking, not the warrior talking. Because as a sickle cell patient, one of the promises I made to myself was that my child was never going to know my pain. I was not going to bring a sickle cell child into this world. No. For me, I made that promise to myself. But not everybody is like me. So at the end of the day, I have to keep talking to him. Well, I still haven't finished talking to him, but I have to keep talking to him. I have to keep advising him. And sometimes we make our faith misguide us. I'll say that because I have sickle cell patients that have said to me, my genotype has changed from SS to AS or SS to AA because my spiritual leader said so. And I always laugh at such statements. I'll say, okay, can we go to the lab to go and check? Let's go. I will pay for the lab. Let's check. If your spiritual father is right and your genotype has changed, then I'll leave you alone. But if it hasn't, then I'm going to keep harassing you till you start taking your medication and stuff again. And I've actually lost a friend, not a friend, but somebody I know like that, who said, okay, her spiritual leader said her sickling status has changed, so she doesn't need medication anymore. Went into severe crisis, and then she passed. You know, I was angry, I was mad, because I feel like our spiritual leaders have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to ensure that you're not giving the wrong information to people with health conditions. Because in you telling that patient that the sickling status has changed, the genotype status has changed, you could kill them. You could kill them. So it is important for our spiritual leaders to also understand the condition, understand it, so that you don't give false hope, you don't give false information. It is also essential for you as a person, have your faith, believe in whatever being that you believe in. Mine, what I believe in is the Almighty Allah. I'm not going to let any imam or anybody tell me, Yasmin, that my sickling status has changed because he prayed and it was shown to him in a vision. I will go to the lab, let me check. I'm not disputing your vision. I'm not saying you're lying. But please follow me to the lab. Show me by science that it has changed. Then I'll start believing in you or whatever. But I believe, for me personally, I believe in the Almighty Allah. Allah has kept me alive this far. He has brought me this far. But don't use spirituality to trick me into not taking my medication. So it's essential for you to be sickle smart.
Yasmine Okpujoto is more than a conqueror. She is an advocate for the rights of the few. She is a sickle strong warrior.
I am Yasmine Okpujoto, the sickle strong warrior.
If you have been inspired by this story, or you want to share your own story as well, send us a message on info@aleeftv.com.